Hello, everybody. Don Foster with Redress South Bend, and we just a privilege to be with former Councilman Henry Davis Jr., Second District, and it's amazing time, and it's great to be with you. And every day do you get a chance to actually make the front page of the South Bend Tribune, so it's got you on there, and it's funny how they come out with ex South Bend councilman, like you've been divorced. It's a play on words, but don't know why they can't just count you Councilman Davis, or why can't they say former, but they came out with ex South Bend. But welcome to the show.
Thank you. They did at least recognize who I was.
They did. They did something. You're at this fundraiser. Really, you're there to tell the story about just something tragic that happened, and all of a sudden you're there, and you're really there to raise money. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, we're there to support the family of the deceased, and we want to make sure that they can get the financially support that they deserve. We're also, there, calling out a foul on the program, the Bridge program, as well, that was executed by Judge Cichowicz, Judge Jason. That's what we're going to call him now, Judge Jason. And so we don't. You want to believe that it was benign, right? You want to believe that what we were doing, or what I was doing, was obviously my ability or my constitutional right to speak, freely about an issue, that impacts the community, and that didn't end up that way. I mean, I ended up on the front page of the newspaper. The gentleman that we were discussing, neither of the two, right? We have a young man that's has been withheld, from society. He's incarcerated because there's an allegedly thing that he killed the young man, Mr. Davis, Isaiah Davis, and we wanted to, but we wanted to support the family. We wanted to undergird them with some support, financial support, but we also wanted to call Judge Jason to the carpet. You want to talk about that this thing that we're doing is not supportive of our community. We've gotten information from before that this is not the first time somebody that went through this program has.
Oh, that's just crazy.
Has murdered individual from our community. And so we want to, look, in order for this community to grow, and I think you guys understand this at this point, you have to grab the bull by its horns, so to speak, and you have to call things out the way that they are. And we have to be committed to truth. We have to be committed to justice, and we have to call those who are appointed or elected to be the leaders that they claim themselves to be.
Oh, that's right. Iron sharpens iron. And, the thing is, if we just ignore it and it just goes on, and there's never change can happen for the better, right?
You got that right. And that's a part of the political landscape. I mean, we're doing it right now as we're combing through these next few weeks when it comes to former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. We are going through this. This is a part of what we do. This is democracy.
Absolutely.
This is how democracy works. And we're not, as voters, we're not supposed to just let anything go, right? We're supposed to judge it the way that we understand it to be. Obviously, there will be differences of opinions. There will be party lines drawn. There are going to be all kinds of things that happen, but we do want to make sure that we choose for the betterment of our community. Not because we're Republican, not because we're Democrat or Independent, but for the betterment of our community, because we all have to exist here together once Election Day is over with.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think about, being an official in that capacity, you got to have thicker skin. You know what I mean? I was absolutely shocked when I saw that the Judge Jason, filed against you, for one phrase I was absolutely floored with it. I mean, he filed a lawsuit against you. It doesn't make sense. I was thinking about some of the lawsuits that got filed against him. Just Bank in America, that came through. This is 22 pages. If you ever wanted to have a reading on some backwards about Judge Jason, there's some of the most amazing stuff in here, just in what they went through. With levering Russell Cartwright and the things that they accused, Judge Jason of doing it. And just in a short time, you talk about the money factor, just a short time back, I believe it was around 2013 or 2014, he's a lawyer for him. And he starts helping him out. And then it gets to a point where so much transactions happen that goes through the storyline. I guess it was ABC News did a beautiful thing. It was Brian
Connie Bear.
Yeah, Connie Bear did that recent report on ABC 57 News Report. Did you happen to see that news report?
Saw it. I watched it. I did.
And we'll have that. We'll have that to show. And I question sometimes in the news not getting more active, or they're very selective of what they choose.
But they did a good job.
Did real reporting, right?
They did a real good job. They sure did. They did. And I was proud of that. I'm glad that we can get there in South Bend, Indiana. South Bend has been really obtuse and really, really confrontational to people being bluntly honest. South Bend has really made a career, a culture to not wanting to be tested or to be pressured to give up the truth about what's happening. And that has happened even when I was in office, and that goes all the way back to 2000, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, when I was confronted on several different things. And some of these things that you guys would never even know about. But I came in at the bottom level. I was a precinct committee chairman. That's how I started out. I started at the lowest level. And from that point on, each step I was tested. And thank God I knew how to read. I'm serious. Thank God. Because if I didn't know how to read, if I didn't have a level of comprehension that made sense, I'd have been in trouble. Just all of the games that are played, the moving targets that are out there, you have trust in other people, right? Because you have a relationship with people. Those people will use that relationship against you. And I have had those things happen over the years. And so you're going to ask, someone a question, and you just know they're going to give you the truth because, you hang out with them. They're your friend, and, you have a relationship with them. I'm glad I know how to read. I know how to go and fact find, right? Because if I didn't, like I said, I would have been in trouble a long time ago. I probably would have never even made it to being a councilman. I actually
could relate to that. I call it the political talking points. It's just a talking point that they keep repeating, but that doesn't mean that there's any fact or truth to it. But we're going to keep repeating it, and then we're all going to be numb to sleep. That's saying, well, this is what it must be because I keep hearing it and it's unchallenged.
You got that right.
That's why we have to challenge,
and that's why you have to challenge it. And I said this, and I will keep saying this. The best way to strengthen the muscle is not to allow it to just lay dormant. You have to keep challenging it, or you keep ripping it up, right, lifting activity. And that's the only way you can strengthen it up. And then you feed it, you rest it, and you go right back at it. That's the only way you can strengthen the muscle. If you don't do those things, then it won't become strong.
You're exactly right. And one of the things I picked on, I just grabbed for a few minutes to show is that, WVPE 88.1 came on and said, Cichowicz has no regrets about moves they led to suspension. And you went out of your way to say you should. Tell us a little bit about that. You were sharing the story of saying, we're none of us are perfect. We do make mistakes. But especially in leadership, you have to speak out on that. You have to admit to that.
Well, yeah. This right here, to me, this is insane. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call from reporter Jeff Perry. He asked me to be a part of that particular report. I declined. As a matter of fact, I didn't decline. I asked him to send me the questions so I can type them right back out and send it to him. And he wasn't doing that. He said, we don't do that type of thing here. Well, okay, but great. And then after that, he began to text me, and became, he started harassing me, right? And so I just said to him, I'm going to call your station And I did. I called the station manager and talked with him. I talked to the general manager, and I also talked to his assignment manager. And I just told them, there has been bad blood between Jeff and I for a number of years. This just didn't start yesterday. And this is when he was even with the South Bend Tribune. And I just said, look, I can't take an interview with him because he doesn't, it's never truthful. Right, it's always a slanted argument against me. It has never worked out, so I don't want any, relationship with Jeff. The assignment manager asked me if she could, have somebody else call me. Why, certainly, you can absolutely have someone call me, but he can't call me. I'm not taking an interview with him, and I've told him that. As best as the interview will get, good as the interview will get with him will be, like I said, send me the questions and I can type them back out so that you will have no way of,
manipulating it or whatever.
Screwing what I'm saying. That's the whole reason why I asked him. And so he was against that. So you already knew, he had a target on my back at that point because he was trying to figure out how he can make me look as bad as he could.
We could put our energy so many places.
Yeah, you would think. But no, this right here, he has no regrets about moves that led to the suspension. That's insane. The Supreme Court of Indiana said, these things, right? You're in trouble, right? You've done something against the law. I don't even have the exact wording right now. It's probably somewhere in these stacks.
I could actually go through that if you want.
Yeah, look, you're in trouble, and you're suspended for 45 days, right? At that point in time, you should understand that you've done something wrong, right? I don't care how much money you've taken and spent over there at the Harris Township Baseball League. I don't care how many cars you purchased for your employees at the JAC. Or whatever goodwill efforts that you used the money for. It wasn't your money, man, right? Personally, me, Henry, black male, doing something like that, I would probably been up under the prison. He was given extra grace by the system that is before us so that he could continue on and being judged. Dude, you're a judge. And the most ironic thing about all of this that really rattles my cage or trips me out or, surprises me is probably the better word, but I'm not surprised anymore because it gets crazier and crazier. This gentleman, Judge Jason, he decides probate court cases. So if there's an estate, right, that needs to be decided, we're not talking about Mr. Cartwright. We're talking about other folks. He makes a decision based upon the evidence that is given by, opposing sides or family members, right? He then himself injects himself into another probate case, which would have been a probate case with somebody else's estate. And before you know it, he wins out like he, went to the casino down on the south side.
Yes.
I mean, think about what we're really talking about here. This guy who's a judge that decides probate cases for the county of St. Joseph, Indiana, has the ability to manipulate a case that would be a probate case for anyone else as it relates to their estate, but he wins out and not the family. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
It's amazing, and I've gone through I've gone through just that this is really the charges, statement of charges. It's actually 20 pages long, and I've gone through that, and we have that for you to share to read for yourself. But I spent time with that, and then going through just the storyline of it, it absolutely just blew my mind. So for anybody else that's, they're watching, if you want to go through it yourself, don't take my word for it. But then the 6 pages is the action that was taken that they had with it all the way through. And on page 4 of 6, and we'll put this up on the screen, it actually talks about that Jason, Judge Jason has no regrets. We talked about that in this paper, but in it says, this is where it says, Judge Jason agrees his contact violated the following code of judicial conduct provisions. And there's a list of it. I mean, it goes from Rule 1.2, I won't waste your time reading it, you can look at yourself, 1.3, 3.1c, 3.8. Each one of those were pretty big deals. They really were. So you take time and take a look at it, it's there. And like I said, it's not that we're trying to beat him up, but we're saying you got to take accountability. You can't say, hey, I have no regret, good gosh. I mean, there's a ton of things going. You got to meet a man that you're getting paid as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden now you're taking over millions and millions of dollars of responsibility signed over.
It was close to $8 million, right?
Oh, you go through this thing and we're talking about overly millions of dollars, but I'll take you one more thing. I'll just take you through on the Bank of America card said, Bank of America questioned things, and they were really questioning, they were suspecting elder abuse. This is what their suspicion was. But they're saying when in 2020, now remember, they just met in 2013, sometime 2014, but within a year, all of a sudden, this is Judge Jason is starting to take over a lot of the different things that he does. And you're right, the list is really actually long. But one of the things I thought was interesting was it says in 2020, Mr. Cartwright asked Bank of America to transfer all his trust assets to Judge. And despite the simulating expenditure of approximately $450,000 a year, $450,000 a year, which only $180,000 was devoted to assisted living expenses. So what I'm saying is, well, where does that $270,000 a year get spent? He's got the checkbook at this time. He's running the thing. You look at $22,500 per month above the assisted living. That is a tremendous amount of money to be going out. And I'm not saying that he did anything. I don't know what they did with all that money. I'm not saying, but I'm saying it does plant a seed that here Bank of America, one of the largest banks, started to question. And if anybody's interested in reading this, go through, it really gets into some of the things that they're really concerned about. They were seeing paperwork come through that they were flagging the signatures, that it wasn't Mr. Cartwright's signature. It looked like the judge's. And the return address on the documentation went back to the judge's house. It's just improprietary. That's what they're talking about here. There's a lot of things concerned. It was flags that they questioned and challenged, and then they went ahead and filed a suit against them because of the concerns that they had. And this thing is, anybody that wants to read it to the end and all the stuff are 22 pages and take their own thoughts of it. But to me, what you're saying is, there's a lot of stuff here, not just the cars, not just the house, not just the property. But remember initially, Cartwright's money, and I think specifically a lot of people don't know, Cartwright's money came from his mom and dad. And then in it initially was whatever had Cartwright left over was going to the two grandkids. That was in there. Well, eventually the grandkids get eliminated. And the judge's kids get, wife and kids get put in. I mean, I don't want to use the word that it seemed like in my own mind, this is a personal opinion. I start thinking about bait and switch. I start thinking about that a little bit. And I'm not saying that he did that. What I'm saying is doesn't look right.
That's absolutely was what he did. I mean, how does he become so party and authority to the man's estate, and he has his own children and his own family? Where do they do? Where do they do this at? This is okay. So
this is only 10 years. Remember this, Henry. It wasn't that they got in business together and they made money together, and then he wanted to keep it all. The judge wanted to keep it together. No. This was the family estate money. This is the nonprofit. This is all the things it is.
This is his dealings.
His family money coming from mom and dad, come to him to go to the grandkids.
Right. Look. The more you dig, the more you read, the more you comprehend, the worse it's going to get, right? Over the last, I don't know, a month or so or 2 months, sometimes I would text Diana Hess, who's the Democratic Party chairwoman, and I would text Jason Critchlow together. It would be on the same text feed. And I would ask questions about this and, other things that were coming up. And I'm just doing it trying to check the heart of the Democratic Party folks, the leadership. Because some of this stuff, how can I, in sound mind and body, ask anyone to vote for somebody that behaves this way? How could I? I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, Green Party, Libertarian. It doesn't matter what party they represent. How can I ask anybody, any person, to vote for somebody with a track record like this? I would jaywalk. This is just a funny example. I could jaywalk across the street and be on the front page of the newspaper when I was in office. I could ask a question that was unpopular during the council meeting. And it'll be
I was there. I've seen it.
It'll be on the front page of the newspaper. I could just do something really small, and it will be on the front page of the newspaper. This man based upon public record and my own understanding, and I think I have a pretty good understanding. I'm well educated. I have a master's degree. I teach college. I do. I think I understand what this says. Right. I've worked in a law firm for like 3 years. I'm not kind of like missing anything. I understand this stuff. How do you, in right mind, and body, and soul, and spirit, why would you even like sign back up to run for office again?
Oh, this would be the chance to step down. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
It's
It was a
just
simple out.
Yeah, it's a simple out. Take your losses and move on. Clearly, it appears that you still have the money. I'm taking my family and getting out of Dodge. I really am. That's what I would do. You know what I mean? You got a second chance of life, right? No, he doubles down with the support of the folks I just talked about, Diana and Jason Critchlow, and he signs back up. And they have a full campaign to say, we need this. They even had commercials. Have you seen the commercials? You've seen the commercials on TV?
No, I don't watch TV. I really don't have time.
They even have commercials to talk about how good this guy. On top of that, they even talk about how great the bridge program is. And we just talked about there's been 2 people that have died.
The tragedy of it. Yeah.
What is going on? This is what bothers me with this. I can get into some more things that are a bit more personal, but that's enough.
It is. It actually is.
That's beyond enough. My cup is overflowing with things that I don't like about the way that this gentleman moves.
I had a friend tell me a long time ago that we should be involved in the school board, for example. Let's just take it.
Oh, that's the most important board in the county.
And guess what? And I said, well, I really don't have any kids on the school board, and I sure don't want to run for the school board.
Sure.
But guess what? I vote for kids on the school board. So should I be paying attention who's on the school board? So I've told this to my son many times that I've been the sleepy citizen. I didn't get woken. I've been here since 2000 that I've lived here in South Bend. I visited South Bend a lot prior to that.
Sure.
Since I've been a resident. But I've worked hard. Keep my head to the grindstone. I focus, mind my own business, do the best I can, but realizing that how unresponsible I've been as a citizen not getting involved. And then I started coming to the common council meetings. That's how we originally met you.
Sure.
And started getting involved in all those things, and all of a sudden realizing that we've got some real problems and issues, and we're not speaking out. We're not getting involved. We're not trying to help. We're not trying to be part of the solution. I don't want to always be part of the problem and cause more of a problem, but sometimes you got to fight, like you said early on, to say, wait a minute, we need to back up. Even some of the most simplest things I can share with you that frustrates me, common sense stuff, it's almost, we're just all there sugar stamping stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're not really debating. And those things, when I was there with you, I saw that debate times with you, and going back and forth, and you're trying to say, wait a minute, we shouldn't just say yes to this. We need to have a discussion and talk about it. And I think that's where it's missing. We're not having that discussion.
I can keep going with issues. So this past week, we were presented with a DOJ investigation, and then there was a lawsuit. We didn't know that there was an investigation, but it was a lawsuit. And we're talking about all the way back to 2016, City of South Bend. There was a program that then Mayor Pete Buttigieg put together. And it stopped the department, the city itself, South Bend Police Department, from making sure that they are making a grade when it comes to the federal law for employees. How do they accept more employees in here? And it showed discrimination in that particular department. Now, it's not saying that the officers are bad. That's not saying that they're not doing a good job. Department, the leadership of the department, and I'm saying all this to say there are so many things that are like not being done properly. And if people, regular people, when you just got done talking about yourself, are not a part of this process that we call democracy, we're going to continue to get more people like Judge Jason here, right? We're going to get more people like then Pete Buttigieg, You're going to get more of these like things that really are like difficult to deal with, that are very profoundly flawed leadership. Profoundly flawed. They're profoundly flawed. You can't make this stuff up. I just keep going back there. You can't make this stuff up. People are not being accountable. Their character is like not the best. And the truth is, especially even with this particular situation with Judge Jason, just say sorry.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. You know, I shouldn't have done that. I misled your trust that you have for me. Whatever that is, just say, I'm sorry. I did it, right? I won't do it again. We understand that you're human.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
We do.
We
no
get
doubt.
that.
Yep.
You know, we're not asking you to be perfect. But when you double down, he has no regrets about moves that led to suspension, man.
If you think about BridgeLink to begin with, the program, if he doesn't step back and say, hey, maybe it could be improved upon even.
Yeah,
He's not even willing to even do that. Give us something. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Drawings.
Yeah. And I'm laughing about it because it hurts. It really does. I'm always on. Used to always be on the front page, right? I was always headline for some of the smallest stuff. Sometimes it was big, but for some of the smallest stuff. And you have a stack of papers here, legal papers. They're legal filings,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, the public doesn't even know about it.
No, they don't. Most of the public, anyhow.
Well, yeah. Had that been me, I mean, it'd have been on CNN. Right? So I just see the unfairness in the way that things are being vetted, how they're being broadcast over our local media. I see that, number one. Number two, somebody has to have a heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to have a heart. And number three, we need to get an attitude about stuff like this.
Absolutely.
We need to have an attitude about this. We have to have a ceiling of insult, right? He's not a good leader. Right? And that needs to be said and that needs to be understood. People over the last week or so, I stay on Facebook, social media, because I do, right? This is something that I do. And people really want to know why others are not happy with South Bend or not in love with South Bend. And not that we are able to ever define one thing or two things or anything that even makes sense, right? But what I can say, and this is all I'm going to say, is that the atmosphere is bad. When
Mm-hmm.
your leadership is dirty, the rest of the body is going to be dirty. This is true. I mean, you can go to the Bible with this. You go anywhere. So when we begin to judge our children based upon their behavior, well, they're doing no more than following behind the leadership that's before them.
The example being set forth, right?
You may not know exactly who's doing it and why they're doing it. I'm talking about the ones that are running afoul of the law, that's the leaders.
Right.
But it's in the atmosphere. Look, we speak these things into existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are spiritual beings, right? Just because someone may not know that's what you're doing behind that door, it's out there, right?
There's no doubt about that.
It's out there. You're going to feel it, right? And so regardless of if you know it for sure, if it's legal findings or some judge, hit the gavel and said, this is what happened, it's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as our leadership, our adults continue to perform in this manner, our children are going to continue to perform and behave in that manner. And that's just it. That's it. These are the seeds that we are sowing for generations on. And if we don't get control of this, Democrats, Republicans, or whomever, we're not going to have a city or a county to be proud of.
For you speaking out because you care.
Yeah.
You care about a young man who's been killed in their family now that are mourning.
Sure.
They're trying to get a proper burial and all that done. You care. The judge that is running for election again decides, I want to shut you up because I think you said one phrase or one word or used one word wrong. He's going to come out, other than just come out saying, hey, I don't agree with Henry Davis Jr., this is not the thing or whatever. No, he's going to just file a lawsuit within 48 hours, right? I think it was in 48 hours.
It was less than that.
That's just ridiculous. Of course, he has the means, right? He has the means. He's going to use his office. He's going to go through the things he does. So I really disagree with that. And I'll share this with you from a political point of view. When people come and just say, I'm just going to vote straight ticket, Democrat or Republican, I think in my life now I realize that that's a huge mistake.
Terrible mistake.
I have voted now for a variety of different parties now over the years just because I want the best person no matter what. It's not about the party. Even though there's a party line, that we talked about responsibility. You're talking about the responsibility just for the Democratic Party, right? If we're going to say this, then we should mean this, right? So there is something about who we stand for as a party. That aside, we as individuals, the ones that are voting, I'm going to go vote. The ones that are go voting, we need to vote to the person. You got a city council, 9 Democrats. I really don't have a problem with that, as long as it's 9 good Democrats.
Sure.
That's what I want, all the way through. So I don't have a problem that they're not a mix. It'd be nice to have the whole system was set up for balance, right? To have a mix, Republicans and Democrats, and accountability. But I don't want the battle back and forth just because there's a battle. I want it to be what is good for the citizens of South Bend, what is good is for our kids. So when I share that with you, I agree with you 100%. We need to look at the person. For him, for Judge Jason, to me, I would say, Judge Jason, just going through all this stuff, and I mean, I would say for you, it's time to just let it go. Time to move on and let somebody else step up and take that seat.
Yeah, I agree. This is what they call it, marred or mired. What's the word that you use? MIRED is mired and just it's mess. It's just complete mess. It's muddy. It's muddy. And I've heard somebody say to me, well, it's better to deal with the devil that you know than the one that you don't know. Mm-hmm. That's suggesting that the other person is a devil and they're just as bad. I don't know the other person. I just know what I do know. And then here's the track record, and we have it before us.
That removes accountability, though.
It does.
When we deal with the devil we know, removes accountability we may as well not have it.
Yeah,
we're broken.
And it's a sick way of even dealing with reality. I'm not a fan of that, comment or that idea. I just think all of that, it's just bad.
Well, and you've even had people come to you and say, "Why are you worried about this young man? He might have been killed anyhow. Something might have happened sooner."
Somebody said that to me as well.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Someone else has said that to me as well. I had a conversation with a reporter or someone who has a blog or something. Look, he has said the same thing to me, and I said, "Well, how dare you?" So you can tell us the future?
And that's okay? And it's okay? That's okay? One way or the other, it's okay?
Well, he said, well, look at his track record. Look what he's doing. I said, well, look what you done. So you don't get God's grace either. I mean, or you can exact when a person is supposed to have God's grace and don't get that God's grace.
Well, he's judge and jury at the time. I wonder if that young man or young lady turns her life around.
Well, that's what we hope.
And become a leader for the city. That potential is always there.
That's what we hope, right? That's why we work, right? That's what we work for, right? We all are a work in progress, right? And so I've heard that before, and I think that is just awful.
It is.
You've already, placed a ceiling on this person's growth. How dare you?
Right. I agree.
But then said that they're supporting Judge Jason. Mm. And you know what his track record is like.
And that's exactly
it's just like some of the most insane stuff.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a scary time in America right now. It's a scary time in the world when we are actually having people that confront truth and lie. And then actually sit there and try to debate which one is more truer than the other. Mm. People are literally doing that now. And it's scary, right? It's nuts. There's so much I can say about it, but this gentleman, no, not at all. Not at all. It's bad that people even want to support this. It is. It's bad. It says a lot about the person that's supporting this. That means that they are only interested in getting their gain out of it, and they don't care who is destroyed in between.
So you've been councilman for how many times? You were councilman twice, right?
No, sir.
Just once? One run?
No, sir. 3.
3 times?
Mm-hmm. Ran for mayor twice.
You ran for mayor twice?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So the councilman, when was the first time the councilman? How far back do we go?
My first term started in 2008.
2008. So here's a thing from me to you. Thank you for your service and your time you put in. And I got to tell you, I look at what the council people make. And you guys don't get paid. You didn't get paid, and they didn't get paid nothing what they do.
No.
I mean, they're managing a $433 million budget. You know, I mean, they should get paid a lot more money managing a budget that big. I think it was amended to it was 417, got amended to 433, which I still can't figure out that one. But thank you.
Don't try to figure that one
Thank you. Thank you for what you've done. And two, you know, the thing is never stop being who you are, and never stop talking and speaking out. We got to keep fighting and speaking out. And I think that's, you know, the whole purpose behind Redress South Bend as we go. But this judge, just to go ahead and sue you over just one phrase, one word,
for telling the truth.
Well,
For telling the truth.
even so, he's got to have thicker skin if he wants to be in politics. To me, that's a sign of a lack of character if he's going to go to that point and say, well, I'm going to try to shut down free speech. I'm going to try to shut you down because you have a right to your opinion.
I absolutely do.
And that's wrong that someone could be, that we're playing the games that they play. Remember, for him to turn something over in 48 hours, by the way, we deal with lawyers all the time. We have a whole bunch of different firms that we deal with over the years of different things. I've been in business for 31 years, but in brick business for 41 years. So, you know, dealing with lawyers as a corporation, all that, we have a lot to know. It takes a while to get something done.
Absolutely.
For something to turn around that fast, just was absolutely amazing to me. And that's, you know, almost using the power of his office to be able to turn something that fast that, hey, you're going to mess with me, I'm going to put a hurting to you. You know, we're not rich. You and I are not rich. We're fighting the good fight, and they know that. So now they want to shut us up by, I'm going to send a piece of paper your way, and I'm going to tie you up, and I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to have you nervous about what you want to say. And that flares me up, and that's the reason why I wanted to come today and do this with you, because we got to stop. We got to stop this stuff. We really got to take a back seat. We are allowed to have conversations. We don't have to have fights, but it's okay for you and I to disagree. But guess what? Listen to learn. I can learn something from you, and if you learn something from me in a trade-off, what a better partnership as we go forward.
You got that right. You got that right. You know, I just want God to be happy with me.
I do too.
I want God to be happy with me, and I don't know if I am doing everything the way that He wants me to do it, and sometimes I know I fell short of it. But there's certain things that you know not to do, and so this is what we're dealing with right now. This is what we're dealing with, and so I hope that I make my family proud and my son proud, and you know those who are around me, but. You can't say any more about this. You know, like I said, you just can't make this stuff up.
Well, you know, from me to you and from us, you're appreciated, and keep fighting the good fight, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Henry Davis Jr., my friends.